Welcome. Let's see, the minutes were sent out. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
Yes.
If so, I'll accept a motion, any changes, additions? So I'll accept a motion to approve. A second? All those in favor? The motion is approved. Let's see, no public forum and water. John, I guess you're...
Sure. The first one, just another update on staffing. We've had a couple since the last meeting, a couple more people leave for other positions. So in the distribution, we usually have 9 people. We're down to 5 right now. So we've been trying to hire, but we did some interviews yesterday, and a couple weeks ago we had some interviews, and hopefully these candidates, a couple of them will work out to get some people in here. So we're presently with the, we actually had our foreman leave, and he had a D3 distribution license and served as the primary operator for the distribution system, so we don't actually have a primary operator anymore. So myself and Steve Neal are basically acting as the primary operators. DEP likes to see somebody who's actually working on the system every day be the primary operator. I've notified them of our situation. They're all right with it for now. But, you know, we need to move toward trying to find somebody to fill that position. So we're just not getting, you know, candidates with drinking water licenses. We had a good candidate yesterday. Plenty of construction experience, has all the other licenses, but just not his drinking water. So we're still looking to try to hire him, of course, because of the experience, and particularly with running equipment and a backhoe. But in treatment, we have, you know, 6 treatment operators, 1 chief operator. The chief operator retired. We have 2 primary operators retiring next month, a month from about now. So we'll have, you know, some positions vacant there. We've advertised, and I haven't got any outside applicants that have any licenses at all. We got a couple, but they didn't even have experience in drinking water. So it's going to be a bit of a tough situation once those 2 gentlemen leave. We do have 2 treatment operators, secondary operators, that are moving up in the primary positions, but they do not have their T4 licenses, and we're T4 plants. They have T3s. They still need to take their exams and get their licenses. Again, we, you know, notifying DEP and let us know the situation. We're not the only ones facing these type of staffing issues. They know it's you know, a problem, but we still need to try to move toward filling these spots. The downside to the distribution, not having full staff, is that we're going to have to hire out more work. So we, you know, last week we had a pretty big break on Electric Ave, and we ended up having to have a contractor come in and do pretty much the whole job for us, which is not, you know, something we would normally do. Of course, there's going to be some considerable expense to that type of thing, but we got to get them repaired. So, matter of fact, that night, we weren't able to start work until the next morning because we couldn't even get a contractor in that night, because a lot of them are been, you know, working for the state or, you know, Fitchburg, and just been out straight with a storm. So they were pretty tired. Just, you know, weren't capable of coming in and doing any type of work. So we're a bit pressed for personnel. So we're going to do the best we can, but we may not get things done as quickly as we like, you know. We really like to get people's water on as quickly as possible. Sometimes it's going to be shut it off and, you know, try to line up a contract a few hours later or the next day, rather than our guys starting on it immediately. So, any questions at all, or
Questions?
all right? The next item on the agenda, I believe, is the Flula transmission main. They've hit quite a bit of ledge the last couple of weeks on that, but they still have gotten about 1,000 feet out of the 2,200 feet installed, a 24-inch main. Some days they only get one 20-foot section of pipe in with all the hammering and removal of ledge they got to do. Then other days they'll get 7, 8, 9 pieces, sticks in. But it's moving along. They're getting pretty close to where they cross the stream right at the Flula Dam at the plant. We've actually lowered that lower reservoir, pretty much drained all the water out there, because they got to, do remove and replace with the transmission lane through that dam. So we don't want, that water up against it when they're doing that. So we got that down pretty good. Once they get to that second stream crossing at the dam, the plant will be shut down for the duration until they finish all the piping. It's all pressure tested and chlorinated. They're gonna, once they get to the stream crossing, there's gonna be a valve there, and they're gonna be able to disinfect and pressure test and disinfect that section. So then it'll be, halfway done basically at that point, fully completed. So, like I said, the ledge is a little harder than they thought it would be, and they've spent a lot of time hammering out there. We hear them every day. So, but it's moving along. I think they get another 100 to 200 feet. They're going to start coming out of the ledge, and then things should go more quickly. So, of course, they've had some down days too with the weather as well. Not just the snow, but the cold temperatures. So, and the other item I had on the agenda is the SCADA project. That's behind months now, just because of the chip shortage and labor shortage with getting panels and things built. They're still moving forward, but it's going to be quite a bit delayed because of all that. So we're facing again the same problems that everybody else is in the country and world with chips and labor too, getting materials and for it. So. But we're pressing forward, so really would like to be further along. We really don't want to be doing too much work during the high flow periods during the summer, but we'll do what we need to get it done. Once we have all that additional equipment built, the contractor has that and is able to start installing it. So I had hoped that we could have kind of combined the shutdown of the fluid plant with the work there, but it doesn't look like that may be the case. So I hope that those stars would align, but it doesn't seem to have worked out, unfortunately, just because of the lack of the chips and getting that equipment. So that's pretty much all I have. Just the staffing is a major concern for us. We're pretty concerned, with that. So, and we really like to provide good service and try to, do things as quickly as possible. But it's, we're gonna, we'll do the best we can. But there's going to be some delays in getting some of the work done. So. That's pretty much all that I have, so.
Any other questions for John? Yeah, thank you. Oh, wastewater.
Wastewater. The first item I have is in regards to Lunenburg. The Sewer Commission has reviewed and updated their sewer use regulations that we handed them, and they did that on January 25th. They did make a slight change based on Jeff Morosky's request that he made before he left. The change they made is pertaining to the permits for significant industrial uses, the SIUs. The wording now states that all significant industrial users shall obtain a wastewater discharge permit from the city of Fitchburg before connecting to or contributing to the POTW. So that was a good change that Jeff picked up on. Town of Westminster is requesting a short-term extension to their intermunicipality agreement. They're seeking either 2 years or possibly 3 if possible. The reason is they want to keep the dialogue open for increasing their flow, but they know right now that with the Mass DEP and a lot of the separation projects we have ongoing right now, that's up in the air, so they want to hold off on getting a final say on that, but they want to extend what we have for another 2 to 3 years if possible.
That's that's got no financial impact on us, though, right? Because even with the new agreement, the cost will be the same. Is that right? Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
That's my memory. I just want to be sure that that's right.
I believe that is correct. They're also requesting an additional 50,000 gallons today transfer from one line to another. I believe this was probably brought back up in December. What this would do is it would change the flow from the Route 2A line from 250,000 up to 300,000, and it would drop the Route 31 line from 70,000 down to 20,000 gallons per day. There shouldn't be a problem. The line presently goes into a flow stabilization tank, so it just pump out over a long period of time. It won't increase the velocity of the flow going down, it just pump for a longer time. So that shouldn't be a problem. Tony suggested that it was not a problem before he left. So the consent decree, it's being compiled. We almost have it done right now. So I figure next week it'll be completed and then sent out. It's about, I would say right now, it's about 85% done. Weston and Sampson's working with the East Plant staff on the hazardous communication plan. They requested an extension for this with the Department of Labor Safety. They're asking an extension because they need a little bit more time completing their program. So we sent out, I believe we sent out a request, or we're going to be sending out a request to the DLS to see if they can give us another month. It shouldn't take any longer than a month. It's almost completed. They had a staff out for a week or so, and so that kind of pushed things back a little. Polito has shut down operations due to the weather on February 1st. So they'll start back up again when the weather becomes more favorable. So hope for an early spring. And the FY23 budget is being developed right now, so it's being compiled. Doesn't look like there's going to be any major changes from this year, but right now it's just in the early stages. And also, like John, I have staff vacancies that are becoming issues. Just in this first quarter, I have one operator who did retire on the 1st of January. Luckily, we had an in-house candidate who was in the maintenance side, who was looking to transfer over into the operations side. So we held an interview with him last week, and we are sending him to Human Resource for approval. And then we can just backfill the maintenance job, which is an easier, doesn't require a license. It should be much easier to fill. I also have an operator retiring in March. When we posted the job, we did get a pool of candidates. It was about 6 or 7. None of them had wastewater experience or a license. But with an entry level, we have found in the past that we can train people, as long as they have the right attitude, and if they have good work ethic, we can train them, and they usually can obtain their license, pretty quickly. They only require a grade 2 license to be an operator, and it's an easy thing to train them for. I also have a chemist is retiring. Peter Farrell, who's been with the city since 1988, I believe, or 89. He's retiring on March 18th. I do have an in-house candidate. My pre-treatment coordinator has expressed interest in this, so it would be an easy swing for him over there. But then we're going to have to find someone for the senior engineering aide, which may be an issue. Takes a little bit more training than an operator. And the most critical one I have is a senior operator who is going to retire. He just keeps on extending it, thankfully.
I tried that with a couple of mine, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, first he said this is going to stay until the bargaining agreement gets settled. And that may get done, who knows, the next 2 months. But then he's come around and says, well, he wanted to get out before the winter, but now that the winter's here, I might as well stick around to my anniversary date in October. So we're hoping he does that. Because filling a senior operator, it's a grade 6 position. And right now we're, like John, we're stealing from other plants. Mm-hmm. There's very little people out there who are looking, or who have actually obtained their license. So to come out here, they're either looking to be closer to home, or unfortunately, they probably burned the bridge somewhere where they're at. So it's, you get real selective on who you can get. We're hoping we can train people in-house. When I first started, we used to hold classes at the plant to try to get people their grade 6 license, and 2 people actually obtain it that way. And we'd have classes around 4 o'clock in the evening and go through things. So looks like we're going to have to go that route again. So I have hope that we'll have it up. We're not as scarce as John is right now, but the field out there is slim.
Yeah, unfortunately, our pay levels, for his treatment plant, it's a different union than our, the highway and water, and our pay levels are just quite a bit, need to come up a bit to retain people, because we've been training people, but as soon as they get their licenses, they're, going someplace else for $3, $4, or $5 an hour more, so... we don't need to be the highest paid, but we need to be competitively paid just to, so that, somebody who's been here for 5 years gets some more vacation and, has some, time vested here, that we can hopefully retain them, but we're not able to do that right now. We're basically a training ground. As soon as seems like they get here 2 or 3, 4 years, get their licenses, we put them through the classes, they get up to speed and kind of understand the water system, what they need to do. It's like, they go someplace else. And I know, I'm not sure with wastewater, but I know with water, it's like any town or communities, they're actually doing mailings, direct mailings, because me being a certified operator, I get the mailings, but they're sending them out to operators across the state, just, I got a job here, I got a job there, just to attract people, so we're.
Yeah, I've gotten some myself.
Yeah, we're fighting against that too, because they may not be thinking about it, but then they get a card in the mail or something, and geez, I can make this much over there or whatever, so. Yeah, so we're working on that too with the pay. Hopefully, we can move forward the next few weeks, whatever, with something.
How long does it take to get these licenses here?
For wastewater grade 2, you can, if you study, you can probably pass within 6 months of opening up a book. And then you have to have some OJT to become an operator in full. But it's a quick thing. Grade 6, you need some years of experience. The passing grade for a grade 6 is only 18%. So it's a tough course. It's a tough class and a tough license, and it intimidates a lot of people. A lot of people they think they can walk in off the street, off the job. I've been working at a treatment plant for 10 years. I should know what's on the grade 6 test, but they don't know the book knowledge that the test is looking for. And they go in there, they take the test, they fail, they get discouraged, and they don't take it again. So what we're trying to do is turn that around, and there's so much knowledge out there with practice exams and YouTube videos and stuff that we can train these people, but it's the desire that you're fighting. You need people who are willing to spend the time and the effort, and it's you don't see that very often anymore.
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean,
when I got in, you wanted to move up.
Yeah, we've got a couple boys. We sent them. We have a class. We actually haven't. We have classes right at our plant, Mass Waterworks. We sponsor them, and they give us a free spot or two. So we actually have them right there, in the training room there. So helps us, and it's good for everybody. But we send them to the class, and they don't take the exam, or they take the first exam and don't go on to the second one. And we need, with distribution is D1, D2, D3, D4, and you have to go through those sequentially. You have to take the D1 pass and take the D2 pass, but you also have to have time in between. D1 you can just take right off. You don't have to have any class or training. I mean, you just have to study a bit. D2 you do have to, and D3, D4 you have to go through a class before you can sit for that exam. So it does take some time. I mean, we're a D3 system, so to get something like that is probably 6 or 7 years of time. Which is a considerable amount of time. It used to be easier to pass. You used to be able to just jump in and take whatever exam, but the exams, now they make you go through all these steps, which is kind of better in a way, but right now it's hurting us because people don't want to go through those steps. I find it, they get through the D1 or D2 exam, it's like, I guess can't do anymore, I don't want to study anymore, and they don't want to, the D3 exam's pretty tough, It isn't just asking about pipe and things, it's asking you to do, these chemical calculations and dosing and things like that, and it's something they may not even use, in the field, or they could look it up in the book if they really need to, but they still make them, as Mark said, of that book knowledge. Treatment, we're a T4 facility, and that's probably about an 8 or 9 year time frame to get the license if you're starting right from, with no, experience of licensing. So it can, and those exams are very tough. I'm sure that their passage rate is as low as wastewater is, probably on the 20%. Range. They're pretty difficult. We find that the people that take it, even the D1 or D2 exams, it usually takes them a couple times to pass them. The passing 70%. Fortunately, many years ago, you only could take the exam like 3 times a year and go to Worcester at WPI and fill in the dots. But now you can go to these centers where you can actually take them on a computer. You still have to wait a little while, but you kind of go back fairly quickly, and I strongly encourage them if they don't, they get a 67, 68, just, which one area you need to sharpen your skills in. It's like, do that and get right back in there, I don't like them, and we've got to talk to a couple of them because they've waited too long in between, and now it's like, they've had the class, they should have just gone on taking the exams, or, when they didn't pass, not give up at that point, just do it again, but it, like you said, just, we don't see the drive for something like that to move up, and it actually could help them get more money too, you know, the more licenses they get, but it just, it's a bit discouraging in some ways, I'll be honest, so. We try, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, as the saying goes. Wow.
Challenging. One other question. You talked about the extension that Westminster's requesting. Is there any, who approves that?
That's a good question.
So I believe that it needs to be reviewed by the legal department for both town, us, City of Fitchburg, and Town of Westminster. And then I think it needs to come to us for approval as the commission, and then following that, I believe it needs to get approved by City Council.
Okay.
And that's, I've gone through the IMA process for other subjects, and that was the process that I had to follow. So I assume it's the same for one that is before a
Okay,
water.
so there's no need for a motion from us tonight. It needs to be reviewed by legal counsel first?
Right,
Okay.
right, I
So
believe
that's-
that's the case.
So perhaps next month we'll have, would that seem?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mark and I need to talk with Josh Hall from Westminster and the folks from Lunenburg. I mean, Mark, do you think there's anything that we need to vote on tonight?
The only pressing item that Josh was looking at was the transfer of gallons from 31 to Route 2A. The
Yeah.
sooner that we can approve that, it would help him a great deal.
But I guess if we're okay with the transfer of flows, we should put together a formal IMA document, even if it's just a copy and paste of the previous IMA, and circulate that among the commissioners here for at least a little bit of review before we approve it. So I think we can probably plan to have that on the agenda for next meeting, if that's okay with you, Mark.
That's fine.
Okay.
And I think that what we're going to look for is your assurance that this is not putting an undue burden on either system. That's,
Okay.
we don't know that. We rely on you for that.
Yeah, and like Mark explained, the flow coming from Westminster down 2A right now, it goes into a holding tank that's right across the street from the Wachusett Brewery there.
Yep.
And they've got a pump that pumps a constant flow rate. So even if they're sending more volume in total to us, it's going to pump out of that tank at the same flow rate. So it's not going to affect capacity in that Westminster Street 2A line. It's just being pumped for longer. So more volume's actually ending up at our plant ultimately.
Okay, if I remember correctly, the discussion, though, was whether or not there was, down the road, future development elsewhere, that if you needed the capacity, if we give away the capacity that prevents development in Fitchburg, that's a concern.
Right.
So as long as we've got enough capacity to cover potential build-out of whatever would be coming into the 2A line versus the 31 line, I think
Right.
that's my memory of what the overview has always been.
Right, so I think we have to stipulate in the IMA that the flow rate coming out of that tank, holding tank at Westminster can't change, because that line on 2A is relatively undersized for the flow that it does receive.
So the flow rate's all we need to be concerned with. Okay,
Correct,
I get it now.
for right now.
Got it.
I don't believe Westminster has any major development on the horizon. I know we've got our industrial park up there off of 2A that could potentially see some additional development. You know, we've got the Game On facility. There's potentially a hotel going in up there, from what I understand. So that line on Westminster Street 2A does need to be replaced and potentially upsized at some point to accommodate any future development on our side and for Westminster side. But in the meantime, you know, we're not seeing any overflows. We're not seeing any major problems there. So as long as they maintain that flow rate out of the holding tank at Westminster, I believe we're okay for now.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just curious, if Falula, if you shut it down for a period of time, what makes up for that?
The regional plant
Regional
does,
plant,
yeah.
I kind of figured.
We have a pressure reducing valve station, commercial regulating plant. We were able to divert the flow there. And actually, the city survived off of that until Falula was built for like 10 years. So we have plenty of water that way, especially with the lower demands that we have. So we don't want to do it for forever, but, I mean, we actually have talked to DEP about shutting it down possibly for periods of time if we don't have enough staff to man both of those, so. But you also don't want that plant sitting idle either, so, and, you know, if something did happen at the other plant, or, you know, there's a break coming into Fitchburg, it's nice to have this. We've actually set up a pump, as part of the hydro generator project. We had a pump installed over at the Marshall Regulating Plant, and we never were able to, pump from what we call the low system high. The regional plant goes to the high system, so that higher pressure goes into low system, but now we can go the other way. We can't take all, you know, supply the whole city from the Fluid plant, but we could, you know, kind of supplement it if something happens, so, so that's a huge plus as far as resiliency and be able to, you know, deal with anything that happens on that transmission mains, those transmission mains coming from Westminster.
Any other questions?
Just had one, I guess it's for the commission and probably for John. So we're going through draft budgets right now. What is the process for approving budgets from the commission's point of view? So this is the first time going through this process for myself, for Mark Piermarini also. So when are our budgets usually reviewed by Water-Wastewater Commission? Is that March usually, or is that?
Yeah, I'd say March or April. You know, sometimes it takes a couple of meetings, I think, as long as there is a vote of the commission prior to, you know, city council vote, so,
Okay.
you know, recommending approval.
So once we get the draft budgets together and mostly approved by the mayor's office, then it
Yeah.
would come before the commission?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we just need the commission vote prior to the city council vote, so we got some time, but we don't want to wait to the last minute either, so,
Okay, good to know.
all right.
And again, this, whenever you can circulate that, I know you've done that the
Yep.
last few years.
Yeah, I'll probably send it out.
If it comes before the meeting, it gives us a chance to at least,
Yeah, we'll get it, for me, I plan on getting it to the next meeting, because I gotta finish it up anyway. We got the meeting with the mayor coming up, so we'll get it to the next meeting and maybe vote on it in April. As long as it's done before, like I said, the city council, also April's well before the June vote, so that'll give you some more time to look at it and, you know, rather than rush it through the meeting if we get it just a couple days before, but we can kind of roughly go over the first meeting, you know, any changes, and then the meeting in April, vote on it.
Okay. All right, thanks.
any other questions? Okay, the next meeting is,
One thing I had, the next meeting, Calvin has reached out to me about us possibly changing our meeting night. You know, we meet the second Wednesday. He didn't know if it might be possible. They're trying to rearrange some meetings, and he was wondering if we could meet either the first or third Wednesday of the month versus the second. I didn't know if, I said I'd, you know, bring it up to the commission whether, you know, there was any issues as far as conflicts with your schedules.
Wednesdays, I don't have a conflict, whether it's
Yeah.
first or
I'm
third. I mean,
fine.
does anybody have a conflict then?
I don't believe so.
No.
Any preference on the first or the third, or?
I think, Michael, we were originally on the first, and we changed it to the second because Mike had something to do.
Yeah.
So, clear with him, that either, the third is fine with me.
All right. I'll reach out to him, and if it's all right, we'll just kind of figure that, you know, the next couple days after I talk to him.
Do you want to change that for the next month?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could say, you know, we'll either do it the first or third, depending on if Mike has a
Okay.
conflict or not.
I'm on.
Oh, we do have Mike.
Yes, good evening.
But you had a conflict, oh, you have what committee are you on? So you have a conflict on one of those days?
I'm sorry, which day was it?
First or third Wednesday?
So we're looking to change it?
Yes. Again, if you're having problems with the meeting time here?
Okay. I guess it's whatever is most convenient for all of you, and I'll just try to do my best to make it.
So for you, neither one has a conflict then?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But you're on.
As you know, I'm on the ZBA, and that meeting was,
What days does ZBA meet?
it's this week. Ours are on Tuesday, so
On Tuesdays, okay.
it was convenient to have both meetings consecutive during a week, but that was just a personal, you know, thing, so. whatever works for the board.
So it's up to the commission members. I mean, for me, it's, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me.
Whatever works, I'm flexible.
Well, maybe, it might be easier, it might be easier on the 3rd, because when you're changing months, I think it's sometimes, you know, you.
I was thinking the 3rd, but that's up to everybody else.
Does third
Third's fine with me.
work for everybody?
Third?
Yeah.
Third,
I know if Wednesdays, if it's the 1st of the month on Wednesday, we're gonna, I'm gonna forget.
Yeah. It's fine with me.
Okay, so the next meeting would be, what's that date? That would be the March
16th?
16th. Is that right?
2nd, 9th, 16th, yep.
Okay, so the next meeting will be March 16th here. Any other business? If not, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a virtual motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.